This episode is brought to you by DistroKid.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
But I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris DeMakes, a podcast producer, Chris Fafalius, here to bring you another Throwback Thursday episode. If you're listening to this the day it comes out, tonight is Devil's Night, so it only seemed appropriate to throw it back to November of 2021 when Michael Sweet sat in to discuss the writing and recording of Stryper's To Hell with the Devil. The song was the second track on the album of the same name, and it was released on October 24th, 1986, so I thought we'd take a look at what was going on in the world of music and the world in general during that month. On October 8th of 1986, The Color of Money, directed by Martin Scorsese and starring Paul Newman and Tom Cruise, premiered in New York City. I've actually never seen this movie, so I'm adding it to my Letterboxd watch list right now, so I don't forget to watch it soon. On October 9th, The Late Show with Joan Rivers premiered, making her the first woman to host a U.S. late-night TV talk show. Unfortunately, it only lasted until May of the following year. That same day, Andrew Lloyd Webber's The Phantom of the Opera musical premiered in London, and it would go on to run for 13,629 performances. On October 16th of 1986, Keith Richards organized a concert celebrating Chuck Berry's 60th birthday at the Fox Theater in St. Louis. Performers included Etta James, Linda Ronstadt, Eric Clapton, Julian Lennon, and of course, Keith and Chuck Berry themselves. On October 23rd, artist Keith Haring was commissioned to paint a 300-meter-long mural on the Berlin Wall. If you don't know who Keith Haring is, you definitely know his art. Just look him up. There's a really cool Keith Haring mural by my buddy Jim's house in Philly. I always get a picture in front of it when I'm out there. That same day, Emilia Clarke, who you might know better as Daenerys Targaryen, the first of her name, Queen of the Andals and the First Men, Protector of the Seven Kingdoms, the Mother of Dragons, the Khaleesi of the Great Grass Sea, the Unburnt, the Breaker of Chains, was born in London. And the very next day, Drake was born in Toronto. The biggest songs the week that Stryper released To Hell with the Devil were Cyndi Lauper's True Colors, Tina Turner's Typical Male, Janet Jackson's When I Think of You, Robert Palmer's I Didn't Mean to Turn You On, and Don Johnson's Heartbeat. I'd also mention that a song from a past episode of our show, Glass Tiger's Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone, was at number 14 on the charts at this time. It's also worth mentioning that Slayer's Rain in Blood was released this very same month, as well as Weird Al's Polka Party. All right, well, I guess it's time we get to it. From November 15th of 2021, this is episode 77 of Chris DeMakes a Podcast. Michael Sweet discusses Stryper's To Hell with the Devil.
Hey everybody, today's guest is Michael Sweet, lead vocalist and guitarist for the Orange County, California heavy metal band, Stryper. Together we break down Stryper's 1986 hit, To Hell with the Devil, taken from their third full-length album of the same name. Michael spoke of how he wrote the chords and melody on an acoustic guitar in the corner of his garage. When he presented the song to the band, they instantly liked it, and his brother and drummer in Stryper Robert Sweet, came up with the lyrics to the song. Michael cites influences from everything between Judas Priest, Boston, Elvis, and Pavarotti, the latter being no surprise when it comes to Michael's incredible range and operatic vocal delivery. He touched on the fact that he carefully looks at each song as its own entity, trying not to use the same tricks twice, while at the same time staying true to the band's sound, which is definitely a fine line balancing act. I mentioned how his voice is so unique and one of a kind that it has truly overshadowed his gift as a lead guitar player. He can rip with the best of them. And I gotta say, as far as musical output, Michael and Stryper are some of the most proficient in the business. They are non-stop, always pushing forward, something I find very inspiring. For all this and a whole lot more, don't you dare go anywhere.
Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast.
Michael, how's it going?
It's going great, man. I'm in Florida. Got back from the Chris Jericho cruise and traveling, running errands, and we're here for a few more weeks, and then we head back to good old warm Massachusetts.
Right on. Yeah, Florida is my home state. I now live in Tennessee, but my band is from Gainesville, Florida, so that's cool that you're down there.
Well, cool, man. Yeah, it is. It's really different. We're at a really cool place. It's basically like a senior citizens campground. And there's gators and deer. And someone told me last night they have a panther here. We're waiting to see that. So it's really cool.
Are you at the Villages?
We are not.
Oh, okay. That's an elderly campground as well.
Yeah, this is elderly, all really nice people, really slow paced. The only bummer about it is you can't have campfires, you know. We were kind of hoping we could, but we're here in our RV hanging out for a few more weeks, and then we go back to reality.
Awesome. Well, I want to give the listeners a little background here on Stryper. The band formed in 1983 in Orange County, California. They were originally formed as Rock's Regime. They were the first overtly Christian heavy metal band to gain acceptance in the mainstream. The band signed with Enigma Records in 1983 and released their debut EP, The Yellow and Black Attack. Their first full-length album, Soldiers Under Command, was released in May of 1985, and it was the band's first gold record. And the track we're breaking down today is To Hell with the Devil, the title track from the band's third album, which was released in October of 1986. It went platinum after spending 3 months on the Billboard's album charts, eventually selling 2 million copies. Calling on You, Free, and Honestly were hugely popular MTV hits. The album received a Grammy Award nomination for Best Gospel Performance by a duo or group, choir or chorus. Michael's the band's primary songwriter, and he's also currently the band's producer. To Hell with the Devil was produced by Stephen Galfus and Stryper. Galfus has worked with many acts, including Cher, the Allman Brothers Band, and Meatloaf. The band's fourth album, In God We Trust, was released in June of 1988, and in August of 1990, Stryper released the album Against the Law, after which the band went on hiatus. Michael departed the band in February 1992 and pursued a highly successful solo career. The band reformed in 1999 and in 2005 released their comeback record, Reborn. Since then, they've released a covers record and 5 other studio records, the most recent being 2020's Even the Devil Believes. And I gotta say, the other thing that's just so cool, Michael, is that you played with Boston, one of my all-time favorite bands. I know my producer Chris is sick of hearing me say that. I've referenced Boston 100 times on this show. From 2007 to 2011, I think that's just amazing.
Wow, man, that's a lot of information, brother, and incredible. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to play with Boston. It was supposed to be a one-off, what was supposed to be their last show, and a celebration of life to Mr. Brad Delp, incomparable Brad Delp. And I got invited along with a number of artists, Ann Wilson and Mickey Thomas, Sammy Hagar, Godsmack. I mean, just a bunch of bands. And I wound up going and performing. Some of the singers dropped out, so I got to perform even more. And it went so well that Tom came backstage and invited me to join the band. And they said, we're going to continue on because it went so well. So I got to tour with them in 2008 with Styx. We did 56 shows. And here you go. I'm no longer with the band. I left Boston.
Right.
For anyone out there that may think I'm crazy for doing that, you know, I wanted to make my band the priority and focus on Stryper exclusively, and that's what I did. So I, believe it or not, I left the band Boston, which is insane, but true.
Well, and longtime Stryper bassist Tracy Ferry now plays with Boston, from what I understand.
He does. As far as I know, he still does. Yes. Before Tracy was an incredible bass player in person, Kimberly Darm, who played in the band when I was in the band. She played bass and sang, and she was amazing. And it was a really fun time, really interesting time in a very cool way.
Well, and I got to say, I've followed your career since 1985, not just a fan from the stuff back in the day. I love how you've evolved. You've still maintained who you are as Stryper and as Michael Sweet, but you pushed the envelope. You've continued to make great sounding records. I've noticed the most of your records since reforming, or all of them, have been produced by yourself. You know what you want for your sound. My two favorite records, I think it's a tie at this point. It's probably Against the Law and Murdered by Pride. I love Murdered by Pride. Probably my favorite Stryper song is on that record, Four Leaf Clover, and of course a cover of Peace of Mind by Boston, which I love.
Yeah, it was really interesting because that's a time when I was just about to join the band, Boston. And what I mean by that is we hadn't toured yet. It was in 2007 when we were wrapping that album up. And I figured, I'm going to ask Tom if he'll play on a song. And he, from what I understand, had never done that before. And he said yes. So we got Tom on a song, which is really cool and very rare, very unusual. And we did our own version, of course, of that song, different drum groove and just a few little different flavors here and there. And man, that's one of my favorite albums too, believe it or not. I think that's a highly underrated album. Murder by Pride, I'm referring to. Very underrated. And it kind of was stealth on the radar. And it's sad because there was a lot of great songs on that album.
Well, it's hard to push forward as a band. I've been in a band for 30 years, and I know that, we're fortunate to have a legacy, so to speak, and fans that want to hear those songs that they have all those memories attached to. But as artists, we like to push forward, and you guys are continuing to churn out really great stuff. I want to dive into the song right now, and I want you to take us back. The record came out in October of '86. Do you remember writing To Hell with the Devil?
I do. I actually wrote the music for that track, and Robert wrote the lyric for that track. And
oh wow,
yeah, that's a co-write with Rob and I. He wrote the lyric, and I wrote the music. And like all the music that I've written over the years, it was always me in a corner of the garage with my guitar plugged in while everyone else was conversing. We had 20, 25 people in the garage. Rob was talking with people. My mom would come in, she'd bring food, and Oz was talking with people. I was in the corner, not talking to anyone, writing To Hell with the Devil, writing those riffs. So that's the way my personality is. I have OCD and ADHD, and I get hyper focused on things, and I hyper focused on songwriting and still do. And I remember writing that riff, and playing it for everybody after I wrote it, and everyone seemed to really dig it. And the rest is history, as they say.
That is awesome. Well, for those listeners that don't know, Robert Sweet is Michael's brother, who is the drummer, the only drummer that's ever been in Stryper. And I know he was credited. I saw that online. I didn't know what he did with the song. I guess he wrote the lyric, which is really cool. Was the song one of the first tracks you wrote for the album? Did you know it was going to be the title of the album, or where did it sit in the writing process?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't one of the first tracks I wrote for the album. One of the first tracks I wrote for the album, believe it or not, was the song Honestly.
Wow.
I went through a ballad phase, and I wrote quite a few ballads in, a 2 or 3 week period. Honestly was one of those. Together as One was another one. So Honestly was written long before To Hell with the Devil came to be. And then another song that I wrote right out of the box for that album, the sing-along song, because I had a keyboard a Roland keyboard that I kept experimenting with. And those two songs came first, Honestly and Sing Along Song. And then obviously, I'm a metalhead as well. I love Priest, but I love Journey every bit as much as Priest and Loverboy. So I like it all. You've got the heavy side of that album with More Than a Man. More Than a Man is probably one of the heaviest ones.
No matter what some people say, all of your faith and your life will start to change.
As I got along and went down that path of writing for that album, and I wrote Sing Along and Honestly, that's when everything else just started coming. And I started thinking like, okay, I need an edgier one. All right, I need this. I need a little bit of a poppier one. So I wrote Holding On. And it just all fell into place.
Well, that's what I dug about the band. I mean, you could sing anything. Your voice, you had such a great register. But I loved, you could hear Van Halen, you could hear Priest, you could hear some Maiden riffs in there. But then you heard a song like Honestly that reminds me of something that Styx did, which I'm a huge Styx fan. I grew up with listening to that in the back of Mom and Dad's car. So you guys kind of had a little bit of everything for a suburban kid like me in 1986.
We did, and I loved. I came from the mentality of don't get stale, don't be repetitive. And a lot of the albums that I loved and grew up with, I look back on those albums and I feel like they were somewhat repetitive, meaning every song began to sound the same. I vowed as a writer and as an artist to do the exact opposite and make every song completely different. And that's tricky to do. That's not an easy thing to do, and make it all work together and somehow fit together like a glove. But I love doing that with every album that I'm a part of, whether it's solo, Stryper, Sweet and Lynch, whatever. If you notice on most everything I work on, every song is really different on each album.
Yeah, no, and that's the great challenge, to be able to push forward and still retain who you are, but not try to, as you said, do the same thing over and over again. That to me is the ultimate challenge.
It is very challenging, because what can happen is if you don't do it right, it could sound like 10 different albums and 10 different bands, and then you got a problem. But somehow, some way, or at least I think, I've managed to pull it off and make it work. And I love doing a track like More Than a Man. And then I love doing a track like Holding On. They're polar opposite sounding songs, but yet at the same time, two of my favorite songs to play live. And I love the pop synths and I love the metal synths. I would crank, if you hung out with me in 86 and got in my car and we drove to Taco Bell, you'd hear me. I'd pop in Priest. And then right after that, I'd pop in Survivor. And it's just how I grew up. I appreciate all forms of music.
Yeah, well, if that would have happened, we would have been fast friends. I can guarantee you.
and man, I would even listen. My dad, growing up, would listen to stuff like Elvis and Pavarotti, Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Yeah,
I love the Beach Boys, the Beatles. I mean, I love it all, man.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I love a good song, and that's why I started the songwriting podcast, because it's just fascinating to talk to every artist, and just everyone's take is different, but it's also unique and cool at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Before we dissect the actual song, just one last thing. I remember this time period. I believe some stores like Walmart and Kmart at the time didn't want to stock this record based on the album cover, which was hilarious to me, because you guys, it had a pentagram on the front, but you guys were basically, you're a Christian band here, and you're saying no, to hell with the devil. But right. Was there ever talk of not naming the record that because of the connotation and having hell in the title?
No, we always felt comfortable naming the record that. But when we began to distribute the album, and we started getting a lot of negative feedback from chains, mostly Christian chains, who said they wouldn't carry it because there was the imagery and the pentagram on the album didn't allow them to comfortably carry that. So we came up with the plan, and we made those album covers limited, and then we created a new album cover, which of course everyone has seen, and that's the one that those chains carried. But it's not that we caved and gave in. It's just that we certainly don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot. We didn't want to limit our reach and being able to get out there to as many people as possible.
Absolutely. I can 100% relate to that. And I've said this before on the show. I can't overstate how important MTV was at this time. And you guys were in my house, in my living room, larger than life. You know, when you were on MTV like you guys were back then, it was just, it was phenomenal. And this song was all over the place. Again, I'd heard you since Soldier Under Command. My godfather's son, who I always called my cousin Dave, it was probably February or March of 85, played me the record. And I was just, actually take that back, February or March of 86 played me the record. I had never heard of you guys, blown away. Later that fall, of course, To Hell with the Devil came out, and here we are. The song is 4 minutes and 3 seconds long. It starts with this guitar slide in, and then this big chord rings out over the drums until the 5-second mark, and then that's when the dual harmony guitars come in. I love this intro, Michael, because the first 4 measures, on the 1 and the 3, you're missing that F sharp.
Yep.
The guitar lead's going over, but that second chord, the F sharp, is not there. I'm assuming that was intentional because I feel it's such a cool tension.
Yeah, it's all those little things you wouldn't think, you might not think are intentional are. I'm one of those guys who likes to, if I write a verse and it's got a certain chord progression, the second verse might have a slightly different chord progression. And the third verse might have an entirely different chord. I might, instead of a major, I'll go to minor, or instead of minor, I'll go to major. I do that a lot in a lot of different songs. So all those little things that you notice as a writer, some other people may not notice, but it definitely adds, like you said, tension and makes it a little more interesting for sure.
Was that something you recall being on, if you indeed demoed this song, or the initial writing of it with the acoustic in the garage, like you said? Was that something that was there, or did Stephen Galfus, the producer, have anything to do with that? Was that something you decided to leave out in the studio, or do you remember?
No, it was always there. And I can tell you this too, and that's with Stephen Galfus, Michael Wagner, Ron Gowdy, even Tom Wehrman, all the producers, or really co-producers, when they were working with us and they came in and met with us and we started working together, we had everything ready from a musical point of view. So we didn't go in a room with any of these guys and like rearrange, rewrite, change chords, add this, subtract that. It was all ready to go. And I remember, when we were working with Michael Wagner, he's like, man, this is like the easiest gig I've had, because I don't have to do anything. I just got to make you guys sound good. And that he did.
That's such a great compliment. And it sounds to me like you were already in the producer's chair, but maybe because of your age, you weren't maybe ready to actually be the producer, or was there label pressure to have guys like Tom Werman and Stephen Galfus in the mix?
Definitely label pressure. I mean, we were always ready to be the producers. We produced our demos. If you go back and listen to some of our demos, they, at least in my opinion, sounded every bit as good as the first album we released, The Yellow and Black Attack. And then, like I said, with Soldiers, all Michael had to do was just get everything to tape in a clean fashion, and punchy. And in terms of the songs and the parts, everything was worked out. He didn't have to do anything. And he just hit record and we sang, and he's like, wow, great. Oh my gosh. Next, let's do the guitar solo for it now. We'd play the solo and he'd be like, yeah, that's amazing. I mean, this is how the recording process was, and everything was just already worked out. So we co-produced all those albums, but didn't obviously really get credit for it. But we certainly did. In all fairness, we really did. We were always the co-producers on every album, for sure.
Yeah, well, and that's commendable. I love going in the studio prepared. Nothing is worse than just being floundering when you're under the microscope. That's the absolute worst feeling. We get into verse 1. It's the 45-second mark. The lyric is, "Well, speak of the devil. He's no friend of mine. To turn from him is what we've got in mind." And that's just the drums with Michael. That's just you right there. Yep. Just the drums and vocals. goes on to say, just a liar and a thief, the world tells us so. We like to let him know where he can go. On the just a liar and a thief line, that's when the big stereo guitars come in. On the what we've got in mind, the third line, the guitars slide in there with kind of like the pinch harmonics again, and then the stereo guitars come in. On the last line, the word no, you do this octave scream just on that one word.
Yeah.
And now, again, was this kind of all in your head on the demo, or were you playing around in the studio like that no, was that just on one take that was comped or something, or was that intentional?
Yeah, that was intentional. I mean, back in those days, we didn't do a lot of comping.
Right.
I got into comping later on in life, in where I would sing, 3 or 4 takes, and then we'd comp them together. Back in those days, though, it was just pretty much one take, and we would punch in. I'd sing it through until I felt like, okay, that was a good take. We'd run with that, and then we'd punch in and fix the words / notes that we didn't care for. But all that stuff was, like I said, just, we'd go in there and just feel it out and bang it out. And whatever was coming out of the heart and soul in the moment was it.
That's awesome. And for the listeners, when I say comping in 1986 meant doing 3 or 4 takes of a vocal or something, and then you'd have to actually cut the tape and splice it together. Yep. So punching in was a little easier.
Oh, yeah. Punching in was a lot easier. And we lived through those times. We were on that album in particular. We were one of the first bands that I'm aware of to, in Los Angeles, record a metal band to record digitally. So that album, that entire album was tracked on a 32-track Mitsubishi machine and through an SSL. And so the entire process was digital. We were also one of the first bands to use, I don't know if you recall, the Publison stereo sampler. But basically we would sing we loved that because we sang these giant stacks on the choruses for vocals, and then we just flew them with the sampler.
Wow. I'm unaware of that. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. We would just basically load them up into the stereo sampler, which had so much time, and we, barely fit those choruses. And then when the next chorus would come up, we'd hit record, and then someone would stand there and just hit the button on the Publison to start it. And then we'd say, no, that was a little late. We'd do it again. Oh, that was a little early. We'd do it again till we got it. And that was it.
And that's really early to be playing with that kind of digital technology.
It was really early. And we tracked that at a place called Master Control, and Gary Meyerberg was the tech there. And they were very cutting edge. That studio and that tech in particular, very cutting edge in terms of technology. And like I said, I think they were the first studio in LA to have that particular machine, the 32-track Mitsubishi machine.
That is so cool.
Hey, everybody, don't you dare go anywhere. There's lots more Chris DeMakes a Podcast after these messages from our sponsors.
Looking to elevate your music career? DistroKid is a digital music distribution service that enables musicians to distribute their music to online stores and streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon, Tidal, and many more. DistroKid collects earnings and payments, sending them to you, the artist. With DistroKid, artists unlock a world of possibilities. From easily paying collaborators with splits to securing your music with DistroLock, DistroKid covers all bases. Plus, you can promote your releases with Hyperfollow and create eye-catching visuals with a Spotify Canvas generator, all for free. But that's not all. Introducing the DistroKid app, now available on iOS and Android. Artists can manage their releases, view streaming stats, and withdraw earnings, all from the palm of their hand. And for those looking to perfect their sound, check out Mixia. With its simple interface and customizable mastering options, artists can make their music sound polished and professional within minutes. And don't forget about Instant Share, DistroKid's newest feature. Share large files securely with collaborators, producers, and more, ensuring your music streams at the highest quality. Ready to take your music to the next level? Download the DistroKid app and explore their suite of tools today. Plus, listeners can enjoy 30% off their first year by visiting distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes. That's distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes.
When it comes to what your family eats and drinks, you know your choices matter. You're the expert because you know what fits your life. And getting it right starts with good information. That's why America's beverage companies are sharing more information about our ingredients at goodtoknowfacts.org. No spin, no judgments, just the facts straight from the experts for more than 140 beverage ingredients. Visit goodtoknowfacts.org.
When did making plans get this complicated? It's time to streamline with WhatsApp, the secure messaging app that brings the whole group together. Use polls to settle dinner plans. Send event invites and pin messages so no one forgets Mom's 60th. And never miss a meme or milestone. All protected with end-to-end encryption. It's time for WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone. Learn more at whatsapp.com.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast? Smart move. Being financially savvy? Smart move. Another smart move? Having State Farm help you create a competitive price when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
I'm Scott Hansen, host of NFL Red Zone. Lowe's knows Sundays hit different when you earn them. We've got you covered with outdoor power equipment from Cobalt and everything you need to weatherproof your deck with Trex decking. Plus, with lawn care from Scott's and, of course, Pit Boss grills and accessories, you can get a home field advantage all season long. So get to Lowe's, get it done, and earn your Sunday. Lowe's, official partner of the NFL.
Bustin' with the Boys is here to let you know that every college football Saturday, FanDuel is dropping profit boosts that can turn wins into bigger wins.
Sounds like we should rename Saturday Booster Day.
Nice.
21 plus and present in select states. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See full terms at fanduel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
If you're a band, artist, record label, or business looking to get your message out to a passionate audience of music lovers, consider advertising on Chris DeMakes a Podcast. We'd love to help you connect with our listeners in a meaningful and authentic way. Just drop a line to my producer, Chris Fafalius, at chrisfafalius@gmail.com. That's Chris, Fafalios @gmail.com. If our listener base sounds like it might be a good fit for you, reach out and we can talk rates and discuss the best way to effectively get your message across.
And now, back to the show.
Well, the last line here, when you do that scream of no, where he can go, the cool drum fill comes in. The
yeah.
Excuse my vocal impersonation there, but I love that. It's heavy and it's so your brother. It's just that's how he played. It was heavy. And we're in chorus number 1. The lyric is "To hell with the devil" twice. To hell with the devil. After the first time, the dual harmony guitar lick from the top of the song, what I'm calling the hook comes in halfway through, and there's harmonies, as well as those stacked vocals that you were talking about on both of these lines here. And again, I'll ask, this was just like the original demo at this point, or just like how it was written?
Yeah, just like the original demo. And I that's something that I've always done with songwriting and with many songs that I write. I always felt it was really important to have a hook line, guitar hook line as an intro, re-intro, outro. That line. That whole line, it kind of makes you go, oh wow, what's that? And you remember it. You can almost sing the line. We have that on Soldiers Under Command. There's so many songs. Free has it. It's kind of a trademark Stryper thing, and it just became such an integral part of who we are and what we do and how we do it. Something else, I don't know if you noticed, but when you hear the cymbals, you can hear it on "To Hell," you can hear it on Sing Along Song, you can hear it, after that tom fill you talked about.
Yeah.
You can hear it sounds almost gated.
Yeah.
You listen to sing-along song, you'll really hear it. It's they're all gated, and that was accidental.
Really?
Yeah. So basically, the engineer Stefan Gelfas applied gates to the cymbals, and we didn't pick up on it till it got mastered. They weren't supposed to be gated.
Well, I always thought that sounded like a cymbal grab that Robert did. Where you stop the cymbal.
There are cymbal grabs on the album. But if you go through and you listen to the album, there are certain songs specifically and especially sing-along song. You can hear it clear as day on all the cymbals. It's dun, 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 psh, 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 psh. Every cymbal hit is gated.
Did you question Stefan at that time about that?
Oh, man, yeah. I'll tell you, I always thought it was kind of cool. And we had people coming up to us saying, dude, that effect you did on the cymbals was cool. And Robert was not too happy about that because he didn't like the cymbals gated, and I understand that.
Of course, as a drummer, you wouldn't.
Right. So Robert to this day is a bit annoyed by that, and we had to get it done. We had a date with Eddie Schreier at Capitol Mastering.
Yeah.
We couldn't get out of it, and if you got out of it, Eddie wasn't mastering it. And we wanted Eddie, so we didn't have the time to go back and fix it. We just couldn't do it.
And I certainly know the part you're speaking of. I always thought it was a cymbal grab, Michael. I had no idea that was a gate on there. That is cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. Listen to the album, especially, like I said, sing-along song, and you'll hear it clear as day.
Right on. Well, before we get into verse 2, before I forget, I do want to tell you that I'm not a big fan of re-records, but I want to say I think the re-record you did on Second Coming, Up to Hell with the Devil, best the original.
We did that to prove a point, but twofold. We did it to obtain the rights to those songs, the masters.
Sure.
And we control those masters for sync purposes. But we also did it to kind of show the world and prove the world, like, yeah, really? You don't think we could pull that off? Really? Okay. Well, here you go. Chew on this for a little while.
Yeah, well, you can still sing like you used to, which is amazing, because as we get older, I know that the voice is a muscle. And certainly back in '86, when you were singing like you were, you never thought of a day. No one ever thinks you're going to get older. Like, nope. Am I going to be able to pull this off when I'm in my 50s?
Absolutely, man. And obviously, my style of singing is definitely different. Love it or hate it. It's very different in the sense that I'm a screamer. I do high screams, but I'm a chesty singer as well. I'm a chest voice singer. I don't sing from the throat. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of the greats, like, Brian Johnson and, this kind of sound. That's not my thing. I'm more of a almost operatic kind of singer. And
and I can hear that in your vibrato. It's from the chest.
Yeah. And I think that's helped me and saved me to retain a fair amount of my voice over the years, because I do sing from the chest. And I went and had a few lessons when I was younger and learned how to sing properly. And I've had my voice scoped many times, and they say your vocal cords look fine. I haven't had surgeries. I haven't needed surgery.
Awesome.
So I think it's based on how I sing. Again, love it or hate it. A lot of people hate my voice. It's grating, I've been told, but the way I sing and the style I sing with is certainly my own thing. And, it's what I do. So there you go.
No, it's great. You got a fan here. Verse number 2, 1 minute and 36 seconds. We break in. There's stereo guitars right off the top. When things are going wrong, you know who to blame. He will always live up to his name. And right there, those pinch harmonic guitars come in. He's never been the answer. There's a better way. And on Better Way, you do that super high octave scream again. We are here to rock you. And on Rock You, you do the same thing. We are here to rock you and to say. And then the drum fill happens again. Same time signature as the first, before the first chorus, but there's some more toms here. It's kind of a different thing.
Yep.
It's pretty much the same fill, which is cool. There's a little bit of a spin on it. So real quick, these lyrics here, I mean, they're pretty verbatim. I mean, you're basically saying, you know, he, the devil, will always live up to his name. Was this a first take with Robert? Is this something he just presented with the song, or did you spend time cultivating this lyric?
I definitely cultivated the lyrics and changed a few words here and there so I could sing it properly, and pronunciation, enunciation, and timing, and all that kind of stuff. So when Rob submits a lyric, I'll go through it and make some changes and make some rewrites and whatnot, but not a lot with that particular song. You know, that song was pretty simple because we were writing it as we were rehearsing, and we'd play it and then make changes and play it and make changes. And we got to fine tune it as we went along. Nowadays, though, we don't quite have the opportunity or the chance or the time to do that as much. You know, if we got 2 weeks to write an album and then we rehearse it for 2 weeks and we got to go record it and then go to Italy 2 weeks later, we don't have that luxury or leisure. So back in those days, we did. We had a lot more time to fine tune stuff.
Well, we also didn't have phones we were staring at all the time then either.
True. Very, very true. Absolutely.
We had more time on our hands. At 2 minutes and 8 seconds, we're in chorus number 2. Same as chorus 1, To Hell with the Devil. Right after that line, the dual harmony guitar lick from the top comes in, and then To Hell with the Devil, the second line. And now we're at the 2 minute and 25 second mark. And in my notes, I wrote D-U-N-T, dunt, dunt. Well, that's what the drums do there. Dunt, dunt. There's this break where this dual guitar harmony part comes in. That's just killer. And that's about 8 seconds long. At 2 minutes and 33 seconds, the lead break guitar solo comes in until the 3 minute and 4 second mark, when the band stops and a dual guitar descending lick takes us into chorus 3. I love that part. That whole thing there, that guitar solo, guitar solos for me have always been, does it fit the song? Are all the notes necessary? There's some speed in this solo, but it slows down. It kind of takes you on a journey. Was this a solo you came up with, or something that Oz Fox, the lead guitarist, came up with?
Well, the harmony, the intro part, that whole part I came up with. And then the first half of the solo, after that descending part, then everyone kicks in again. That first half is me, and I came up with that, obviously. And then the second half of the solo is Oz, and Oz came up with his part of the solo. But usually, most of the harmony stuff, maybe even all of the harmony stuff, that goes for Surrender. Anything that you hear harmony parts on, usually I came up with those parts. And that was based on just me sitting and writing. You know, I grew up on Boston and, Thin Lizzy, and I was very drawn to harmony guitars. And I was fascinated by harmony guitars. So I was usually the one putting together anything that had a harmony to it in terms of guitar solos.
Right.
And it's funny. I was talking to someone about this yesterday. You know, over the years, I've kind of gone out of my way to make sure people know that I do play guitar, but I still to this day, man, I have a lot of people coming up to me after every single show and saying, wow, we had no idea you played guitar, or wow, I thought you just played a little guitar. I didn't know you played that much guitar. And, there's always all these comments, and it fascinates me because guitar is my first instrument. I'm a guitar player before I am a singer.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, I don't know if you recall playing grad night at Disney World years and years ago.
Oh, yeah.
But I was there, and man, I walked away going, I just, you had a guitar on in some of the videos or whatever, but, I always thought that just Oz was the lead guitarist. And I walked away going, that band has 2 lead guitarists. It's brilliant. I was shocked. So it doesn't really, it only surprised me today. People still say it to you because you have YouTube where you can see you playing, of course. But back then I didn't have that luxury. And I walked away going, wow, it was a 2 guitar lead guitar attack.
I know, man. And it's interesting because every video, if you go back and you watch all of our videos, I'm playing in every video with Oz, so it's, I don't get it. Maybe everyone somehow missed those videos. I really don't know, but it's, I've learned to kind of laugh at it, not take it so serious because, for a while there, I took it to heart because I work hard on my guitar stuff. I mean, probably harder than my vocal stuff.
I truly think the reason, Michael, is because you're such an amazing singer and you're the face of the band, essentially, that, something's got to get overlooked, and your singing is hard to overlook. So it's almost like, I can't think of many lead guitar players that play as good as you do that sing like that. I mean, you look at someone like Eddie Van Halen, one of the greatest guitarists ever. Eddie did some backups, but he didn't sing like you. So that could quite possibly be the reason.
Well, and that probably is, and obviously, everybody else in the band is so great as well, and it's easy for something like that to get overlooked, and that's why over the past few years it's like whatever, it doesn't bother me as much. But for a little while there, I don't know what it was. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed for a few years, and I'm like, oh, this is a bit annoying, man, because I work so hard and nobody knows I play guitar. But it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, well, as long as you get those people still coming up amazed and slack-jawed at what they just saw, that's proof right there of how good a guitarist you are.
Exactly. Absolutely.
We're gonna wrap up the last chorus here. 3 minutes and 5 seconds. We're in chorus 3. The first line, "To Hell with the Devil," with all the big backing vocal pads there in the harmony. What I love on this third chorus, I've listened to this song, Michael, I don't know how many times in the last 35, 36 years. And I never realized why this chorus felt different to me until I really, really dove in. After the first line here, there's a different guitar lick. It doesn't go back to the main guitar lick at the top of the song. It's different there. And again, was that something in the studio? You said, you know what, we should save the lick because it does come in later, that initial lick at the top of the song. But here it's different.
It is. And again, it's just a matter of trying to add those little subtle changes that make each chorus or verse stand on their own and interesting. And that's that lick. Yeah. And, that's all the little nuances and little things that Oz and I do that people don't really comprehend quite right until they see us live. When you come see us live, you can see all that stuff and you think, wow, okay, there's a lot more to this than I thought.
Yeah, no. And again, I was listening the other day when I was preparing for this episode. I'm listening to this song, I go, why does this chorus sound different to me? And I had to really zone in because I'll take a bite off what you said earlier. I think a lot of us musicians have ADHD, and I'm sitting here, my head's spinning. I'm going, why is it different? I'm like, the guitar changes there. How many years have I listened to this darn song? And I just realized. I love that. On line 2, "To Hell with the Devil," the lick, the same lick that we just talked about, that comes in again right there. Then on line 3, "To Hell with the Devil," on Devil, it's just you alone there as the 8th note stereo guitars are chugging along. It just changes there. It builds this little bit of tension.
Yeah.
On the 4th line, we got "To Hell with the Devil," just like the other ones. And that's where the intro dual guitar harmony hook comes back in there.
Right.
Also with the new lick tagged on at the very end of it, which I love.
It's those little subtle things. That and the way you really realize how many of those there are, is if you're a guitar player playing along. You learn the song and you play along, and then when you get to that chorus, you go, oh crap, this is different. Oh, wait a minute, what? This has got a little extra. Oh man, So it's very interesting how that works, and Stryper does a lot of that on practically every song.
I love that. And again, I kind of amazed myself with how many times I've heard this song. I'm like, why does this sound different? And I had to really, really pay close attention. I love how that lick changes there. On the 5th line, To Hell with the Devil. On the last line, Devil, You Again. That's just you alone singing that. Just kind of that operatic melody there. The 8th note chugging guitars behind you.
Yep.
On the 6th line, the 6th To Hell with the Devil. That's the full padded harmonies and vocals. And then the very end, we get Michael saying, Devil, Devil. And just as you're saying that, the whole band it kind of retards there. And then you go into this, what I wrote here in my notes, this nuclear high-end scream, the Devil, over a killer drum fill as the band ends on, in my notes I wrote again, dunt, 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 dunt. Man, to this day, the ending gives me chills. I remember as a kid, it was just epic. I would crank this thing as loud as my stereo could go, and I love the ending.
Well, good, man. I'm glad you do. And it's funny because way back in the day, before we were Stryper, when we were a band called Rox Regime, and prior to that, Rox, ROXX, I didn't scream. And I got into Judas Priest in my sophomore year in high school. And that's when I started trying to develop my scream. But before that, I didn't scream at all. And when I worked on my scream and developed it, I always wanted to have a scream that had my own signature to it. So I would scream high and it was very clear. And then I'd say, what more can I do? And that's when I started applying a little bit more of that grit to the scream, almost like someone's dying, or I'm going to explode almost, like just this, like it just keeps going. It's like, what in the world? And that became my own signature thing. Again, love it or hate it. Some people like it. Some people don't. And that's okay.
Well, nobody sounds like you.
No. Well, yeah, exactly.
That.
It's my own thing. It's my own thing. And it works. It's worked over the years. And I can still hit, I choose my battles. I can still hit some of them. And some of them I can't. It's tough to hit the end of the way live when I'm running around on stage. And that's one of the longest screams I've ever done. And it's really hard to hit that and hold that note. So some of them, I got to choose my battles.
Yeah. You're playing the 5th show of that week, hour and a half set each night. And it's tough. I'm right there with you. I don't think people truly know what goes into the psyche of a singer. I mean, there's nights I'm behind the curtain going, man, I hope I can pull this off. I'm hurting tonight. And you know what? There's no off days in rock and roll, as you know.
Exactly. You got to go out there and do it. And I've had my share of times when I can't do it at all, and we've had to cancel. That's unfortunate, but that's few and far between. That doesn't happen often. But yeah, man, it's tough. It's definitely a mental challenge as a singer when you can't sing.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to wrap up here in a moment. I just want to tell you one quick little story here. I promised a buddy of mine. This is for Andre Barcelona. Andre used to be part of the road crew for my band, Less Than Jake, back in the day, and I was so excited. I called him this morning. We talked. I said, man, I'm having Michael Sweet on. I'm freaking out. He's like, that's so awesome. He said, do me a favor. Tell Michael I saw him at the Gothic Theater in Denver, Colorado on the Against the Law tour with Trickster opening. I was in the front row. And during Not That Kind of Guy, you accidentally spit your gum out and it landed on his arm.
Oh,
so
nice.
I promised him I'd tell you that.
Well, that is in COVID times, that would be pretty disgusting, right?
Yeah.
And pretty scary.
Yeah, in 1992, I guess it wasn't so bad. So that was for you, Andre. And Michael, I'd like you to leave the listeners with whatever you have going on solo, whatever Stryper has going on. Let us have it.
Well, hey, I appreciate you guys out there always supporting what I do and what Stryper does. There's so much going on. I just began the recording process for a new Sweet and Lynch album with George Lynch.
Nice.
Yeah, working on that. Got an album coming out with Tommy Aldrich and Marco Marcello, Nathan James, and Joel Hoekstra. That's finished. And we started on a new Stryper album in January. And that'll come out. That'll come out next year, latter part of the year. And I've got a solo album already done. It's just got to be mastered. Totally different style and direction, not a metal album. And then I started work on a second solo album that is a metal album with CJ Grimark. And he's overseas in Europe, an incredible guitar player, and it's killer. absolutely killer. So there's a lot going on, man. And I'm always busy, always active, and I'm blessed to still be doing it.
No, and I commend how hard you work and how hard you're. I like I said, I follow your career. You are busy. You did that record with Tracy Guns too, which is killer.
Yeah, that just came out not long ago. That's Sunbomb.
Yeah, right, Sunbomb. Yeah, that's that is great. Well, listen, I want to thank you so much. I'm going to try not to fanboy too much here, but it's just been a real honor to talk to you. You're one of my musical idols from when I was a young kid, and it's just it was a real pleasure.
Well, buddy, likewise, man. You did a great job. Thanks for having me. An honor to talk to you, Chris. And God bless you, man. God bless you guys. Okay.
Hey, everybody, don't touch that dial. There's plenty more Chris DeMakes a Podcast after a few words from our sponsors.
The Charles County Recreation, Parks, and Tourism Fall Guide is here. We have an exciting lineup of spooky seasonal special events, youth sports leagues, adult programs, therapeutic recreation offerings, and much more for you and your family to enjoy this season. Visit charlescountyparks.com to learn more and register for your favorite program today.
This October, Fanatics Casino is taking generosity to a whole new level. Download the app and start spinning. Supercharge your spin with a wager to unlock bigger prizes and a guaranteed win. And this October, we're turning supercharged spins up to the max. We've got $4 million in casino rewards and a $25,000 fan cash jackpot that rolls over every day until it's won. Fanatics Casino, America's fastest growing online casino. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Offer not available in all states. Terms apply. See Fanatics Casino app.
Every day, thousands of Comcast engineers and technologists like Olu Shei are working to build the best sports viewing experience.
Some of my favorite moments throughout my life are watching sports with my dad. Now I work at Comcast as part of the team that created our AI highlights technology, which uses AI to detect the major plays in a sports game.
And now, millions of sports fans will never miss a moment. Visit ComcastCorporation.com/sports to learn more.
Wayfair's big sale is returning. Get ready for Way Day. For 4 days only, score up to 80% off all things home with free shipping on everything. From October 26th through 29th, score Wayfair's best deals, like up to 80% off area rugs, up to 60% off mattresses, up to 60% off bedroom furniture, and more exclusive doorbuster deals. So mark your calendar and shop Way Day starting October 26th at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right. And naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about anything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys. Tito's is known for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits to serve its communities and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's. Distilled and bottled by 5th Generation Inc., Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume. Savor responsibly.
Each week on the One Hit Thunder podcast, we welcome a special guest to come take a deep dive into a one-hit wonder artist with us. And together, we decide if that artist brought the one-hit thunder or was nothing more than a one-hit blunder. You can find One Hit Thunder anywhere that you listen to podcasts, so hit that subscribe button and join in on the fun each week.
As we near the end of the show, here's a band you might not know.
Welcome to this week's Band You Might Not Know. If you'd like your band to be considered for Chris DeMakes a Podcast, all you have to do is submit your song via MP3 only and your bio to bandyoumightnotknow@gmail.com. This week's featured artist is 18-year-old female singer-songwriter from Australia, Cassidy Paris. Her influences range from Joan Jett to Pat Benatar and Pink to Avril Lavigne. She recently released a new EP called Flirt. Here's a snippet of her song, Wannabe.
You're such a wannabe. You act like you're a celebrity. This is your life. This is your life. Oh no, you're such a wannabe. Too bad you're an all-night tragedy. You're gonna fake it. You'll never make it. You're a wannabe.
The Wrap with Chris and Chris.
Chris, I love these episodes where you've been a fan of the artist since you were a kid because the kid in you comes out while you're talking to them.
It's crazy. Sometimes I pinch myself. If you'd have told me in 1985, 86, I'd be talking to Michael Sweet someday, it would just be, I'd be like, no way, you know? And I got to say, this is one of those bands. I've talked to a lot of people over the years. Ronnie Cates used to play bass in another Christian metal band called Petra. Ronnie was our engineer on Pezcore and Losing Streak. He ended up moving to Gainesville, and he talked about these guys. And I've had other people talk about Stryper over the years. They walked the walk, man. They weren't backstage, doing the drinking and the drugging and the groupie thing. Like, they were good, wholesome dudes from what I can gather. And if anything, they already had the Christian contingency that was going to follow the band. If anything, they would have dropped it, because the Christian thing was polarizing to a lot of people. I had a lot of friends back then that didn't want to give this band a chance because of the message. And as a kid, I was all about the music. I listened to, I've referenced this before. I could listen to Stryper and Slayer in the same day and be totally cool with it. It was always about the music. But I wanted to point that out.
Right. And when Michael was talking about like what he liked, he was referencing Priest and Maiden and bands that are the furthest thing from Christian bands. So he obviously could appreciate music outside of the Christian world too. And to be honest, I can't pretend that I'm religious or Christian or anything, but if you go back to that time and you think about, like, I don't know, maybe I have a skewed view on this, Chris, but it seems like there were a lot of shitty people in those type of bands, or dudes that were just like partying real hard, and you'd hear like terrible stories about them. But I highly doubt you're going to hear any terrible stories about Stryper.
No, there's not. There really isn't any dirt on those guys. So they walk the walk, and that's absolutely commendable.
Yeah, man. This was a really cool episode. A lot of things he said I thought were awesome. And I think I kind of feel this way. It's the fact that in his songwriting, he has the mentality of not wanting to get stale, of wanting all the songs to be a lot different from each other. And you touched on this, Chris, but you got to have that common thread among the songs so you don't sound like 50 different bands. It's a tricky line to walk.
It is. I've Less Than Jake has tried to do it. Hey, let's put a keyboard part in here because it fits the song. It's like, you don't have keyboards. Why are you doing that? And it's, again, he even mentioned it. You have to please yourself. That's what you have to do as an artist. And the other thing that we touched on was, you never think when you're a younger performer, and I'm so thankful that I never personally sang out of my range, because if I did, I could feel it. As I've gotten older, I can't sing as high as I used to. But these guys, Michael never thought back in 85 or 86, in 2021, am I going to be able to hit this note? You were just going for it. And man, I'll tell you, go look on YouTube. This guy can still deliver. He'll still give. He says he picks his spots, but every once in a while he'll let go of one of those screams. You're like, where the heck did that come from?
Right. Yeah. We've touched on that in several episodes before, things you do in the studio that then when it's time to play live, you're like, oh, damn it. Why did I do that? But another thing I thought was really cool, man, is it sounds like from the jump, from To Hell with the Devil, and even before that, Michael and his Stryper bandmates were already producers of their music. Coming into the studio so prepared, not only have you worked out all the kinks in your songs and everything, but also, honestly, no pun intended, honestly is a Stryper song.
I got it.
But honestly, if you go into the studio when you're a newer, younger band with maybe not as many funds to spend on studio time, that has to be such a good thing to come in there that prepared.
Well, yeah, Michael Wagner, who is done everybody. He mixed Master of Puppets. Michael's a world-renowned producer. He mentioned to Michael back in the day, Michael Sweet, he had mentioned when recording Soldiers Under Command, the second record, that all I have to do is make you sound good. Everything's here. And that's a joy for a producer in a sense, because, they don't want to be sitting there writing parts in the studios. They're there to record and produce you. And, I think that is really cool. You go back and look at the credits. It always has a producer's name there, but it says and Michael Sweet on those early records. And again, he was young, and that was label pressure, as he attested to.
So awesome. And something I've talked to my friends who know of and like Stryper about that's kind of funny about Stryper is, you touched on it a little bit, but the song's called To Hell with the Devil. And hell is a part of religious and Christian talk. Like, that's not like necessarily a cuss word, but maybe a lot of people would consider it one in a way. But I think that it's funny that Stryper seems to have a little bit of sense of humor about this, because recently they had a t-shirt that said Stryper, what did it say? Like, kicking the devil's ass since whatever 1983 or something. So they have a sense of humor about it, because, and anyone who, Christian or not, if you couldn't appreciate that, then I don't know. Then I can't speak for Stryper, but I'd be like, move along is how I would feel about it. You know?
No, I mean they're in an industry that you have to laugh at yourself sometimes, and I think they I hate using the word joke. I think they get the joke, and I think that they've Michael's been able to have a 35 plus year career doing what they do and still staying true to themselves.
Yeah, man. Great dude, great band. Great episode. I hope everyone out there, whether they were familiar with Stryper like you are, Chris, or whether they're kind of new to Stryper like I am, I think either way you can enjoy this episode a lot, and I hope everyone out there did.
Absolutely. And speaking of being new, maybe you're new and you haven't joined the Chris DeMakes a Podcast Facebook group. They should join, right, Chris?
Yeah, it's a good time. We talk about music and, usually give clues as to the upcoming episode, and I don't know. I like a good music conversation, and we try to get them going in there as much as possible and try to leave all the other stuff of the world out of there and just focus on music. It's a nice little change. Not that the rest of the world isn't important, but I just mean sometimes it's nice to escape the world and just talk about some music once in a while.
That's right. So, and if I hear this a lot. I don't have a Facebook page. Make a burner page. Use a fake picture. Join our group. It's fun. And if you haven't given me a follow on Instagram, please do. I'm less than Chris D on Instagram. I'd love to chat with you sometime. Until then, I want to thank this week's guest, Michael Sweet, for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next week.
Hey everyone, Chris DeMakes here, and I've got some exciting news. Chris DeMakes a Podcast is now on Patreon. Your support is what keeps this show going, allowing us to bring you deep dives into amazing songs from incredible artists every week. When you join our Patreon at chrisdemakes.com, you'll get instant access to hundreds of episodes of The After Party, our weekly bonus show where producer Chris Fafalius and I talk music history, trivia, tour stories, classic albums, and whatever else comes to mind. Plus, you'll get early ad-free episodes of Chris DeMakes a Podcast, unedited video versions of each episode, and, of course, a brand new episode of The After Party every single week. If our show brings you a little joy, help us keep it going strong for just a couple bucks a month at chrisdemakes.com. Not ready to commit? No problem. You can sign up for a free membership while you decide. Thanks so much, everyone, and I hope to see you all at The After Party.
Doug. Here we have the Limu Emu in its natural habitat, helping people customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Fascinating. It's accompanied by his natural ally, Doug.
Limu, is that guy with the binoculars watching us?
Cut the camera. They see us.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
It's okay not to be perfect with finances. Experian is your big financial friend and here to help. Did you know you can get matched with credit cards on the app? Some cards are labeled No Ding Decline, which means if you're not approved, they won't hurt your credit scores. Download the Experian app for free today. Applying for No Ding Decline cards won't hurt your credit scores if you aren't initially approved. Initial approval will result in a hard inquiry, which may impact your credit scores.
Experience.